Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is. Sorry, I was having some minor technical difficulties. Um, I was having some minor technical difficulties. So sorry. I'm even later than late. It's impressive. So yeah, we'll get into the game. We're probably gonna at least play whatever part one is of the case. Whether it's an investigation or going straight into a trial, we'll have to figure that part out. But let's go. The bot worked this time. I fixed it. The bot actually pings in my Discord when we're live. That is hype. Yeah. So we'll be jumping right into it. Episode 5, The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story. Investigation. Yeah, it was. I figured out the issue. The issue was, like, I managed to get it to actually ping the roll, but the issue is it didn't have permission to ping the roll, like, in the Discord server, so I had to give it perms to be able to ping everyone in order to so it could ping the Twitch notifs roll. Yeah, I was just like, at first I was just so happy it actually pinged the roll. Uh, Episode 5, The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story, The Hound of the Baskervilles.
It's coming! Sholmes's cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited, breathlessly, in the stillness. The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us. A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames. Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. "Look well, Wilson," Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. "For this is the diabolical Hound of the Baskervilles."
But why is that here? So actually, I'm pretty sure The Hound of the Baskervilles is actually the only, like, Sherlock Holmes story I've read. But I read it so long ago that I don't actually have a very clear recollection of it, as far as I remember. But it's interesting that it's here. Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. In that was one of the titles of the Sherlock TV series episodes. Yeah, because, like, The Hound of the Baskervilles is, like, it's one of the big Sherlock Holmes stories, I think. Or, like, uh I don't know the best way to describe it, but yeah. Like, The Hound of the Baskervilles is one of the more famous ones, I guess. Maybe that might be the way to put it. But my knowledge of Sherlock Holmes is also not great. I mean, I did watch the show Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch in it when that when that was there, and that was really good. But yeah, I don't know too much about Sherlock Holmes. In that disconcerting courtroom experience we were first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country. And In Soseki-san's terrible ordeal that had followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court, which was hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So, life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. 15th of April, 9:13 a.m. Naruhodo's legal consultancy. It is actually an office now. That morning, I was woken by the unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy. But after he'd gone, Susato-san's behavior became very obviously strange. Susato-san? Yes? Is it time to leave for court already? Let me see. What case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? Oh, no, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris said she would make us breakfast this morning. So shall we go down to Mr. Shelm's suite? Yes. Yes. Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in fighting fit form. Let me see. What case is it today? Here we go again. Are you okay, Susato? So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean. Oh, a telegram? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but you're not going to get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing. Nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. It was just a boring old telegram. That's 3 times now that she's tried to and failed to convince me that it was nothing. I promise I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. I suppose Soseki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which would mean he should have completed the voyage already, or be just a few days away. A fortnight ago, we had that very long telegram from him. Do you remember? Complaining of seasickness? but by and large, it seems the voyage has been going well. Is something wrong, Naruto-san? I was just wondering what might have become of Soseki-san had he stayed in London. That's all. You mean, as regards Lord Von Zeeks, the Reaper? Yes, I can't help wondering if seasickness would have paled into insignificance in that case. Well, we have more dialogue. What is it they say? That no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Like the way that nightmarish trial ended on the very day we arrived in London. Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. Yes, but at least Soseki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably that means that the curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the city of London, perhaps? Even if that is the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields the Sword of Justice himself. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely not wielding that sword against more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently, Lord Von Zeeks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. Oh? Yes, since Soseki-san's trial, he's withdrawn from judicial service again, it seems. Really? Just like before, when he wasn't seen in court at all for several years. So, it's just been me who's had to face him in his recent spate of trials then? Just my luck. I wonder if luck doesn't come into it. Sorry? What was that? Oh, nothing. Never mind. Alright, let's go to breakfast. And we get more characters to voice. 15th of April, Sholmes' suite. Morning, Runo. Morning, Susie. Good morning, Iris. Iris? What is it, Runo? What is that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled. So rude. Yes. You noticed that, did you? Hurley isn't in the best form this morning, it seems. Hello. I guess he should have sounded sadder. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Good morning. A good morning to die, perhaps. Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before. Mm, My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Dang this blanched existence. That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence. I am afraid I don't understand. Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me, if it's not too much trouble. Meow. A kitty. Oh, look. It's Wagahai. Wait, did Toseki-san leave his cat here? Good morning, boy. Meow. That must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. But how did it get there? Well then, everyone, it's time for breakfast. Oh, wonderful. Let me help you, Iris. Uh, it would indeed be a fine day to die. I knew something looked different. Something's missing from Mr. Sholmes' desk. You okay? Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but your desk looks rather empty today. Ah, well done, Miss Susato. Your observational skills do you credit. Oh, no, Mr. Sholmes. They pale into insignificance when compared to yours. You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you? You mean Hurley's great analytoscope? That's it. That's at Windibanks right now. Sorry, it's at a windy bank. No, Windibanks. The pawnbrokery. Pawn what? You mean you've pawned that enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly. But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed what little income I have to you. Dear madam, things are far grown desperate. But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How can it be anything but desperate? Making use of a pawnbrokery is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is. It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh, what's to understand exactly? We'll talk to him out of... You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mr. Jones. What's happened? It used to be the case that in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn chorus. It's melisonant. What? Dissonant. Okay. Its melisonant tones would make flowers bloom. It would. But now, the muses are unamused with me. The goddesses of music have thrown me over. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? For hours I have bowed, for days even. Through the night I have endeavored to no avail. That sound, my tone, is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone gone forever. No more recitals of unbridled emotion. Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley? Don't worry, I'm sure it will come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they just bestow genius upon a man. The next day they unmercifully withdraw it. Oh, dear. Ah, why is this happening to me? If they take the turn I have for the violin from me, what is left, for pity's sake? What is left? Deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? How pawnbroking works? What did you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks. Banks? On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week. And then on Saturdays, they go to recover their things using the money they've earned. I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us. Everyone does it, you see, especially people in inner London. And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn should the need arise. Oh, how ingenious. So, whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windibanks, you see. A pawnbrokery can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Who would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain? Of course, you have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley? What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. Well, Sherlock Holmes, Herlock Sholmes, sorry, legally distinct Herlock Sholmes is not quite in top form this morning, it would seem. It has a very different feeling to Japanese hibachi somehow. Oh, look at that photographic print of a lady displayed on the mantelpiece. Could it be? Yes, it must be. It's the woman. Oh, how exciting. Is that supposed to mean something to me? Well, Iris, do you have breakfast for Wagahai? Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled into his new home then. Oh yes, and I've become very attached to little Waggy. It would appear his previous owner is completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their muse as empty as the heart of the muses. If Mr. Natsume had no intention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place. I expect he would have taken him if he could. But pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience. And for good reason. Terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable. Yes, he really is. Oh yes, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from? Oh, you noticed? You are observant, Runo. Look, I used this. It's my latest invention. What is that? I call it the Cat Flapomat. Gosh, a machine for making doors, just for cats. That's right. it can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. And it can do it in any door as well. No matter what it's made of, it's very powerful, you see. Wouldn't it have been quicker just to make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap? You don't understand at all, Ryunosuke. Well, yes, maybe. But now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door to our office upstairs, Iris. She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. Laughing so hard. Meow. Oh, what was that? Wagahai? What was that? Oh no! Wagahai is tangled up in your violin! I think he thinks it's a toy. No! What's he doing to it? Oh dear. Mr. Sholmes' precious violin. Why should I care? What? I shouldn't be surprised. If the cat is a more accomplished musician than I now. Mr. Sholmes really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives, shall I, Hurley? Out of the cat's reach, if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. Can I? Is it somewhere? I want to see. This is Iris' side of the room. Oh, there it is. So this is the violin, is it? It's a Stradivarius. One of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari. Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it, covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down on a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honorable of you. And excuse me. And until today, it has been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I have made. I ask you, is there reason to live in a world devoid of music, to tolerate this blanched existence, No. There is none. Mr. Sholmes? What, dear madam, what? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine. Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think? What do you mean, Miss Susato? Oh, Susie's right. Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different. And that's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? What's this? I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all. Then what? I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola. What? 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 Oh, Mr. Schul... You're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what, pray, is this piece of string it floats on? Not your faithful performing partner, then. Ah, I see what must have happened. You do, Iris? This is just a simple mix-up. It sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if we ask her. Alright, Iris. Spill the details. What did you mean by a mix-up, Iris? Well, you see, this violin, sorry, this viola, I mean, was at Windibank's until last week. At a pawnbroker's. Not Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner. There is a proverb from the East with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel. Yes, indeed. So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hope that it would experience personal growth? Oh, what a wonderful idea. Last week, I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Windibank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it just had strings. Pshaw. In a state of affairs like this? Oh, a fine state of affairs this is. And why, I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try to fiddle you every time. But earlier you told us you could think of a pawnbrokery as an extremely secure vault. Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect, pressing your coffee so obtusely. And you are not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which we are faced. We must visit Mr. Windibank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Shelms? Precisely, Miss Susato, without a moment's delay. But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect? To press your eggs ever more obtusely? All right. Say no more. Let's go then. Don't worry, Runo. I'd be happy to heat it up for you again later. Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker's looks like. Well, off we go. Oh, we can go to Baker Street if we want, but maybe that'll be relevant later. 15th of April, Windibank's Pawnbrokery. So this is a British pawnbrokery. Oh my. There are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid eyes on before. Ah, Susato-san, and that spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this. Oh yes. I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is a real thrill for me. My dear fellows, let us not forget why we are here. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. We are calling on matters of business, not pleasure. And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging by the spark of fury in his eyes. Ah, Mr. Sholmes, sir, welcome back. Did you hear that brazen welcome? Well, yes, we are potential customers after all. We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruhodo, and it's time to inform Mr. Windibank of our ire. Come, the fight is afoot. Violin. Naturally, you'll recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago. Yes. This second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Windibank. The color of the wood is different. It has holes in it. It's not even the same size. A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me. An inexcusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There is only one way to make amends. I shall have to take my own life. I don't think that will be necessary, do you? If I may just say one thing before I pop off. Yes. It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe. Sorry? Sorry. As I recall, I entered this storm to fetch your violin when I heard, "Ah, here it is." You did. And when I turned to controvert you, you had taken the viola and left, sir. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing you to leave. So I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me. No, stop, my dear fellow. The fault is mine. Phew. It would appear that the fight is over. I do humbly apologize, Mr. Windibank. Evidently my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy. Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Herlock Sholmes without that questionable disposition, now would you? I do believe you may be right, sir. It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I needn't remind you of the peculiar collection of items you brought through my door in the past. Oh, peculiar items. In the extreme, ma'am. For example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Herlock Sholmes, or some such. Oh my, a new, full-fledged novel. And unpublished, a story I have yet to read, you mean? Uh, forgive me. Wait, before you die, you must tell me more. I must know more. Tell me everything. Oh, wow. Susato-san is really fired up now. Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof? Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see. I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Windibank. For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir. Not a farthing more. It houses something of great value indeed. The latest manuscript recounting the adventures of one Mr. Herlock Sholmes. I beg your pardon, a manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript? Indeed I do, for I am confident it will be quite safe here. And that was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? Do I sense that someone does not want to talk about this? I continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings securely. Of course, sir. Of course, sir. They're safe and sound with me, I assure you. On my life. This is all very strange. I wonder, could I ask you something? Ah, a gentleman from the east, I see. Yes, in that sable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6 pence for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull. Sorry? Aha, but for your splendid attire, ma'am. 5 guineas, no less. The colors are exquisite, the design exotic, Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say. Oh my, 5 guineas, you say? Guineas? How interesting. Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokeries are used rather like banks here in London. Yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilize the establishment as you describe. I appraise their items and offer them a proportionate loan and 2 months of secure stowage. If in that time they repay the original sum to me, plus the agreed interest, their items are happily returned. But what happens if they don't pay you the money? then the items are offered for sale in my shop. As you can see on the shelves behind me. So you never sell items before the 2 months has passed, then? That's right, ma'am. That's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is for me to end it all. The very idea, Mr. Windibank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually. Says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die only this morning. And let us not forget, I have already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs. Oh, what sort of measures? I engineered a simple device which Mr. Windibank has installed here in his shop. I call it the Red-Handed Recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Windibank? Ha! What was that deep sigh about? What on earth is a red-handed recorder? Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears... Excuse me. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device. Very astute. It is indeed a camera furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop. Here, I have an example I can show you. Ah, yes. A print from the camera set to record the activity at the shop counter. I developed a special type of film, so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image even in the dark. Really? That's extraordinary. Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it. Look. So you see, were someone to enter the premises with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed. But did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals? Indeed, as you say, my dear madam. Then what if the incident were to occur in between the times? One could only say that would be a cruel twist of fate. I must confess, Your devices have been giving me some cause for distress of late. I beg your pardon, Mr. Windibank. Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word. It's the cost of the film, sir. You most graciously placed not one, but 2 cameras in my shop, after all. Which means I must pay for nigh on 100 utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older. Hi, Sasha. Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbrokery, no. My dear fellows, we verge on an age where safety and security come at a price. Oh, heaven help us. Now then, Mr. Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin. Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Windibank. Perhaps this might mark the end of the peculiar items you try to pop, Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer. I really think you gotta stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not. Sorry? I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be harmed. That's not really what I meant. Good day to you then, Mr. Windibank. It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes. We got his violin back. He's no longer depressed. So, Mr. Naruhodo, now we can explore at last. I guess Susato wants to look around, so we should look around. There's a skull here. There seems to be a little door hidden behind that curtain there. That leads to the storage room, where Mr. Windibank keeps articles that are currently in pawn. Ah, I see. There's nothing of particular interest inside. I certainly wouldn't recommend any larcenous activity. Recommended or not, it's not something I tend to do. There's but one key, and Mr. Windibank keeps it in his pocket at all times. Before he sleeps, he places it into a small pot, which he slides under his pillow. How on earth do you know about that, Mr. Sholmes? I'm a detective, sir. It is my business to know what others do not. I am frequently assailed by information that I neither care nor wish to retain. Mr. Sholmes, you are a wonder. And the prime suspect if this pawnbrokery is ever burgled. That would check out. I want to look at this weird stuff over here. What an assortment of things that are on the shelves here. Crockery, footwear, clocks, and watches. Almost anything you care to imagine. Those are forfeited items offered for sale by the pawnbroker. What does that really mean, though? When you pawn, or colloquially pop, an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the item for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he is free to display it in his shop for sale, at a price of his choosing. Oh yes, now you've explained it, I'm noticing little price tags on everything. Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest on the loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow. My treasured university uniform. Never. It embodies my student spirit. What is this? Look at this. What could this lovely, shiny, big box be? That, my dear madam, is a music box. Surely you have such things in your own country. Oh my. Yes, but I've certainly never seen one so large before. Shall we listen for a while? Ah, what a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels. I've never heard anything like it before in my life. This particular specimen is of the larger variety commonly found in public houses and restaurants. There's a metal disc inside on which the notes to be played are recorded. Simply by replacing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played. My goodness, what a simply delightful machine. Indeed, though their popularity has waned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course. Science and technology advance at such an overwhelming pace. I don't know if there's anything else relevant here, but I don't know what else to do. What is this? Now, what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does? It seems to have two little windows for looking through. Allow me to enlighten you, my dear fellows. What you are looking at is a stereoscope. Fascinating. It is aptly named, I assure you. Look through the eyepieces and see for yourself. Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I just have a look. Just before you do, there is something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically, as it were, you will need to be cross-eyed. However, if that is beyond you, it is of little consequence today. Alright then, I'm going to try it. Ah. Mr. Naruhodo, you must see at once. Oh, alright then. So I need to be cross-eyed like I'm trying to look at my own nose? Oh, what the? I don't believe it. It's just a photographic print, but it seems like you could reach out and touch it. Yes, the sense of depth is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are one of London's many fads. They are often found in little stalls in the park. People queue for hours to see them. Why? Why are people meddling with such black magic? It is no magic, my dear madam. It is, well, far too complicated to explain at present. We shall save this lesson for another day. Oh. It did just look like a flat image here. Well, oops. Let's see what we can do now. Maybe we need to... It's fine. I think we got it. We can go to Baker Street. Wait, is this the shop? Look at all the different things in the window of this shop. Ah, that's Windibank's, the pawnbrokery. It looks much smarter than a pawnbroker's in Japan, doesn't it? Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops at home rather inapproachable, personally. It reminds me of tearfully parting with my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruhodo. So that's Windibank's. It's on Baker Street. Oh, I guess it's actually like 2 doors down. It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Shilm's office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this. Oh, I know. To actually be sharing accommodation with the world's greatest detective. If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I will have not one regret. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. Do we just go back here? Maybe I need to legitimately look around everything in Windibanks. We'll go through this then. Look at that enormous ledger open on the counter there. Mr. Windibank, if nothing else, is, if nothing else, very particular about recording the items which he accepts. He'd have to be, otherwise he'd get himself into all sorts of trouble. Which might explain the thing that catches my eye far more than the ledger. This revolver here. Do not entertain even a single thought of pilfering an article herein, my dear fellow. I assure you, Mr. Windibank would not hesitate to draw that weapon with a speed belying his portly size. Oh, you don't mean he'd blow his brains out? Indeed, in recompense for his blunder. Oh my. But in any case, of course, we would never do such a thing. How could you even suggest it? Not to defend the store, of course, but to take his own life in recompense for allowing a thief to be here. That certainly is an intriguing strategy, I would say. That's not a calendar you could easily miss, is it? 15th of April, today's date. Yes, that's not for sale, I must point out. It is an Eastern-style page-a-day calendar. Every night at midnight, I tear off the front page to reveal the following day's date. The perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Windibank. And who was it who walked out of here with the wrong violin before? Well, when the agreed storage period has passed without repayment, the articles are forfeited, you see. So I have to keep a close eye on the date. It's something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say. Oh, yes, I can see you're very dedicated to your job. And, oh, wait, is there not something else here? Oh no, there is. 3 globes of gold. Is that some sort of charm? Dear me, have you not seen that sign before? No, never. The 3 golden balls are, in Great Britain at least, the universal sign of a pawnbrokery. There are more than 700 such establishments in the capital, all showing this same sign. Oh, I see. I had not imagined your ignorance was so profound. Oh, well, what is the significance of the 3 golden balls then? Does it have some special meaning? That is entirely unimportant here, dear madam. Irrelevant, even. You mean you don't know? Well, that's everything, is it not? I don't think there's anything else. Maybe we have to go back to our office? What to do? Okay, here we go. I found it. Can it really be that we've been in Great Britain for 2 months already? Yes, it's gone by in a flash, hasn't it? And what an English gentleman you trailed off there, Susato-san. I'm so sorry. When I thought it through, I realized it's not at all true, actually. I simply don't feel that any Britishness has really rubbed off on you. Nor you, to be honest. Well, that's obviously because... Yes, I know, without a doubt, it's your kimono. Kimono. It most certainly stands out. I do adore the attire of English ladies. It's quite delightful. But somehow I just don't feel ready to abandon my Japanese dress just yet. I wonder how Susato-san would look in Western clothes. That would be interesting to see. Well, that this doesn't help at all. We've only been here in London for about 2 months, but my desk is starting to look like a little messy already. You could tidy up once in a while. Susato-san, I always say, making a mess is a small sacrifice to pay for being able to further your studies. And the time spent tidying up is time you can't devote to the same cause. And time spent on ridiculous arguments is time that could be better spent on some simple housework. She wins, but I'm supposed to be the lawyer here. Can I eat the rest of my breakfast now? Did Iris leave? Iris's beautiful tea set is there on the table as usual. A cup of one of her special herbal blends always helps me to relax when I'm feeling the strain. The English pastime of tea has many similarities with our own tea ceremony customs, don't you think? It's the idea of hospitality behind it. That's the essence of tea. I think I'm lost. I'm not sure I know how to proceed. Can I talk to Sholmes somewhere? I didn't see him though. Oh, this thing. Look at this. Whatever could it be used for? I have no idea. Ah. There's a small catch. Just here. Look. We're going to open it, aren't we? Oh my. That's amazing. It has some sort of spring-loaded mechanism, which we'll never manage to put back the way it was before. What are you two doing? What? Us? Nothing. No, nothing at all. Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. I feel as though I've seen something rather similar to this elsewhere. What? Only a tuppence for it? That ain't fair, you know. You know it. The article's barely worth a penny. The article's barely worth... dang it. Doing voices before I see the characters is too hard. The article is barely worth a penny, miss. I can't offer more. Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter. Oh, is it Gina? Come on. That can't be right. Have you even had a prepper butcher's at it? I've seen all I need to see, young girl. It is Gina. It's Gina Lestrade. I'll try to do her voice better. Wait, don't we know? I'm sure I recognize her. Oh, yes, it's the young lady from Mr. McGilder's trial 2 months ago. Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. Gordon Bennett, you lot. I don't think I can do her voice right. I want to so bad. Hello, Miss Lestrade. I hope you've been well. What? You remember me then, do ya? Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure. So, what are you doing in here? Down and out, like the rest of us? Nothing to eat? Come to pop that black weasel, sorry, coat, have ya? What is it about this black uniform that makes everyone comment on it? Ah, Good day, unless I'm much mistaken. You would be the young pickpocket who stole our experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. So, you have something of value to pawn, do you? Allow me to see the article, and I shall negotiate with Mr. Windabank on your behalf. Pull the other one. I don't need no help from some stuck-up D. Get out of my business. Go on, or I'll make trouble for ya. As you wish, Miss Lestrade. I will happily remove myself from your presence. He's really done it. He's gone. I'm sorry, but as I just said, there really is no room for negotiation here. What is that thing he has in his hand? Some kind of metal disc? And you, go on, leave me alone. Oh, Miss Lestrade, just pretend we aren't here. We shan't be offended in the slightest. Susato-san can really stand her ground when she wants to. Whatever. Somehow I didn't really think you were the sort of person who'd use a pawnbroker, Miss Lestrade. Yeah, well I am, alright. I'm a Londoner just like everyone else. Not a problem, is it? No, not at all. It's just that, well... Oh, I get it. I know what you're thinking. That thing probably don't even belong to her. Probably got it on the dive, didn't she? Yeah, I can see it written all over your Chevy Chase. Well, I might have been thinking something along those lines. You're not going to deny it, Mr. Naruhodo? Alright then, I'm just going to come out and ask you straight. Do you pawn things that you steal from other people? Well, I don't know how to best answer that, really. Suppose sometimes. You're not going to deny it either, Miss Lestrade. But not this time, alright? I swear, that thing belongs to me. The disc that Mr. Windabank is holding. Perhaps we should see what he has to say about all this. Mr. Windabank, what exactly is this metal disc that Miss Lestrade has brought in? It seems to have hundreds of tiny little bumps on the surface. Ah, this is a music disc, you see, for use inside a music box. In a music box? What? You don't even know what a music box is. You Eastern lot aren't too savvy, eh? I know what a music box is. I've just never seen one of these discs before. The small protrusions on the metal disc encode the tune to be played by the music box. You simply insert the disc and set the machine going, and beautiful music plays. It's so incredible. Tell us, what tune is on this disc? Well, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. There are many different types of music box, you see. British made, German, Swiss. I have no way of knowing which particular machine this disc was made for. Ah, I see. And that's it, in a nutshell. I wouldn't have any customers for an item like this, even if the young lady forfeited it. Really, I'm already offering more than I should at a penny. That's a packet of lies. He told me he did. He said it was, well... he? Who? Never you mind. It just ain't right. That's all. That disc's worth good money. I know it is. Oh, well then. You'll have to try your luck at another pawnbroker's, won't you? Ugh. She's been in before, of course. This little tatterdemalion. I see. And brought some dubious article or other with her. Every single time, I might add. Dubious? What are you trying to say? I'm an honest customer, me. So, is there something dubious about the disc she brought in today? Well, if only that it were that simple. Sorry, what do you mean? What she actually brought in was a storage ticket. Ah, a storage ticket. So... Miss Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. A girl like me has a lot of stuff what needs storing. Alright, yes. That's definitely dubious. The article in question would have been forfeited at midnight tonight. But, as she gave me the ticket for it and repaid both the loan and the interest, I was obliged to return the article to her. But what was the article? Do tell us, Mr. Windibank. The little scamp is wearing it, ma'am. It's the overcoat she redeemed. Oh. What? What's wrong with that? It fits, don't it? I mean, it's mine, so of course it does. So, what about the disc, then? How does that come into all of this? Ah, the disc is something else. A new article to pawn. If the girl and I can agree on a price. I'm confused. I thought you said that Miss Lestrade brought in a storage ticket today. It's really quite simple. Yes, the child brought me a storage ticket and the money owed on it, as you say, for this heavy black coat, which you returned to her care, as I'd understood it. That's right, yes. And rather unsurprisingly, as soon as the little ragamuffin put the thing on, she went rifling through the pockets. Oh, you mean... What? Don't you know it's rude to stare at a lady? Ah, I see. So it came from the pockets of the overcoat, did it? If you mean this disc, then yes. Exactly, ma'am. And she immediately tried to pawn it for quite a high price as well. This is all rather suspicious, I think. Give it up. I'm just trying to pawn something like anyone else would. Miss Lestrade, may I ask who deposited the overcoat here in the first place? Well, me. It doesn't really appear to be your size. Me old man. It's me old man's, ain't it? Is it, Miss Lestrade? Yes, this is definitely all rather suspicious. Out of my way, please. Oh. Who's this picture postcard English gentleman? Good day to you, ladies, gentlemen. What's your problem, eh? There is no problem. As long as you remove yourself, I have a matter to discuss with the proprietor. And if you intend to make a problem of it, I shall see you outside, little girl, for the hiding you deserve. Look, ain't it obvious? I ain't done talking with 'em yet. If you think you're such a gent, you should know how to wait in line. Well, you are an imprudent little brat, aren't you? As well as a pickpocket. Eh? Who are you? How do you know who I am? The question is, how do you not know who I am? You haven't the courtesy even to remember the faces of your victims, it seems. What? You mean from you? Broker. Yes, sir. I believe this filthy pickpocket thief has just redeemed an article from you. No. Why, yes, The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Oh my. Now, that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. And needless to say, any music box discs, too. No, you can't have it. You just can't. It's me old man's, or it was. Now it's mine. Goodness, Mr. Naruhodo. This is all. This is a very awkward situation. Yes. I think perhaps we should hear both sides of the story in a little more detail. The gentleman's accusation. Miss Lestrade. Is what the gentleman is saying. What do you think? It's all lies, ain't it? Obviously. I swear on my life, I ain't never laid eyes on that dandy before. Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? That ticket you brought in here just now. No, I swear it. I swear to God. It was barely an hour ago. I was walking along the street, minding my own business, when this little gutterling ran into me. I knew at once what had happened. What had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pickpockets. Yet again. Oh yes, as you can see, I am a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time I've been targeted by these black-back slum scoundrels. Now then, relinquish my overcoat. Well, come along, Miss Lestrade. Give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police. Hold on. Why does everyone think it's me? Just look at this dandy cove. And do you think I'm the dodgy one? I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe you. Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence I've stolen something, eh? Come on, let's see it. Oh, I have evidence, naturally. You what? Evidence that the article Miss Lestrade redeemed actually belongs to this gentleman. Of course. We only need to consult with Mr. Windibank's ledger to know the truth. We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place. Ah, yes. Brilliant. I'm very sorry to say, but I'm afraid that won't be possible. Oh. I never ask customers' names. That's a strict policy of mine. But why not? Well, now, As you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their, excuse me, anonymity. Yes, I see. But then, how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it? Oh, it's quite simple. Good sir, might I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question? Of course. Of course. It's Professor. Yes, that's right. And all of the evidence we need. This gentleman is the rightful owner of the article without doubt. A watchword. Interesting. So, about these watchwords, Mr. Windibank. As I just explained, I never ask customers' names when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why. Certain customers would like to keep their activities a secret. That wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Shelms now, was it? Great detectives have no dark secret. None at all. Yes, well, anyway. That's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept a new article. In many ways, it's the secret combination of numbers used to unlock the vault. The date of deposit, a description, and a watchword uniquely identify each item. And of course, then I give the storage ticket to the customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword. And if that someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article. That's right, sir. Yes, just as soon as the requisite fee is paid. And I have supplied you with the information you require already. But for the avoidance of doubt, the article in question is an overcoat deposited 2 months ago on the 15th of February. With a watchword of Professor. All perfectly correct information, sir. But Al. Really, this is beyond a joke to me now. There is no further room for doubt. Well, then Gina knows the watchword and the date it was returned to, does she not? Picture postcard gentleman. Excuse me, but who are you? One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you are not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you. Oh, sorry, yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here. Oh, yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. What's he do? Its inhabitants live on some fiery, brown-colored soup dressed with exotic spices. You might be thinking of somewhere else. And what was that theatrical gesticulation about? Perhaps. Anyway, if you are a gentleman, sir, you offer your own name first before inquiring after the name of another. Of course, yes. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer. Well, a student of law, really. My name is Susato Mikodaba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's assistant. I see. My name is Benedict. Yes. Eggert Benedict. Enchanté. He's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but that name is suspicious? Now, to the matter at hand. My overcoat. Return it at once to someone with the style to carry it off. Every move he makes, every breath he takes, I can't stand watching him. So let that be an end to the matter. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Eggert Benedict, sir. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back. That jacket doesn't fit with what he's wearing at all. At least the hat. He's gotta drop the hat. This is why I hate grown-ups. I hate grown-ups. Just 'cause I'm a diver, everyone thinks it makes me a liar. And the contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker. But of course, sir. Here's the disc for you. Just this one. Pardon, sir? I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another. Another disc? Oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, what was deposited with me was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. So, Gutterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, are you? Say who, eh? I don't know nothing about it. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That disc is mine. What? What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood. You filthy animal. Oh my. Yes, there's blood on the disc. It's because of all those sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them. I found it first, alright? I mean, it belonged to me, old man. So you're not having it. Oi, you take it. But me? If I hang on to it, they'll have it off me again. So you keep hold of it. Miss Lestrade, why is this disc so important to her? The music box disc has been entered into the court record. You there. In the black livery. Hand that disc to me at once, please. No, don't. He's lying. Grown-ups are all liars. What do I do now? How am I going to resolve this? Wow, Miss Lestrade is really looking daggers at that mysterious gentleman. We need to do something to calm things down before she loses control and attacks him again. Look at those piercing eyes. He's clearly in no mood to talk. We have to do something quickly before this mysterious gentleman leaves to fetch the police or something. Alright, we know what time it is. Mr. Sholmes? What are you examining with such keen interest there? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see. So, you've found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows. Cruelly ostracized, as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but I was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So, feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, this 7% solution of caramel. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then why on earth did you didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes. I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word of what was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Poor Mr. Sholmes. I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again? My dear madam, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized, how much could I pawn it for? It seems Mr. Shelms has had another of his flashes of inspiration. But who knows if it will help resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here? Listen to the deduction. We have to. Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. Tch. Where the blue blazes have you been, eh? Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be there to help straight away, not an hour later. Harsh. And who, pray tell, are you? Mr. Eggert Benedict. You have, in my eyes, a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon. The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. Sorry. A considerable crime is in contemplation. One you will orchestrate with intent to steal vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? How? He's turned as white as a hard-boiled egg. It would seem that once again Mr. Shelms has made a flawless deduction. Just who do you think you are, sir? Ah, yes, as I hoped. This is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes logic and reasoning spectacular. Okay, I'm gonna get some water before I do this. So I'll be back in 1 minute. Sorry. My voice feels a little bit more rough today than normal. So back in a minute. Okay. I've got more water. Fix this again. So let's get into it. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Mystery Man's aim. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured into this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption tickets stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, that what brought you into this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement from this very shop. Yet, even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutch to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What? What utter rot. I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. The end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. And yet, detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of this stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there is only one conclusion. The rod you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle, mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod is the broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, The conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. To tunnel underneath the pawnbrokery. Great crime. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have been in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel. What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose. Save for such a fanciful theory, what possibility could I... reading is too hard. What possible reason could I have to do as you say? Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider. What would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor? The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter, to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. This letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewage works, beneath this shop runs a sewer that adjoins another one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road. This is madness. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway that flows in very close proximity to the great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you? In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels. Master plan. Which brings us to at last, to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. A, a postcard of the Great Exhibition. I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently, in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will be soon underway. And the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that are currently in the vault of the bank on the other side of the road. Pardon? Yes, the considerable crime you have been contemplating is the theft of that which still sits in the vault of that bank, the special reserve of funds for the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is top secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. What a thing to just reveal casually. To steal the Great Exhibition's reserve funds. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle. Now we have to correct him. Mr. Sholmes. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness. Would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the over the road and what it has in the vault? Indeed, though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me, in the strictest confidence, of course. But you just announced it to everyone here. Rather loudly, in fact. Ah. And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be but one explanation for that. Clearly, it is because the man is a criminal. But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he is a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you revealed the secret. Oh. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Windibank will. He already has plenty of shovels here, after all. Oh my life. I assure you I'm not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost care. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them, and once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo. An excellent idea. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yes, let's listen to that great deduction again and see if we can massage it into shape. Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes, magnificent, logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured into the pawn shop today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you here to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor. Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is where? What did he bring? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? What is this? Oh. Look at all these scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Dina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness. There's even a sketch of her. Not Null. Although if he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windibank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street. Redemption deadline, 15th of April. Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper? Present. Yes, what brought you here to this shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear the writing and the sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket, Miss Lestrade, and to Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery here. Ah. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Windibank's Pawnbrokery, and today to the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So, you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. And you have gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. He's had the cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. What's a ferrule? It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, the bit that makes the nice clacking sound on the pavement? Yes, exactly. And Mr. Sholmes is right. It does appear to be missing on this cane. But it doesn't actually look broken, does it? No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious. In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we not know. I think it's the initials on the cane that clearly don't match his. Look here, Miss Susato. There are some letters on the handle. Ah, yes. Those must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names. So, Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean? That's right. And the initials on this cane, obviously... Oh. AG. Why do I feel as though that's not quite right?
Take that!
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. A most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Eggert Benedict? We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed. Would you not agree? No. You're wrong. This cane isn't. You said before that you'd had that cane for years. Grr. So, don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of our next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding the riddle. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Miss Lestrade redeemed that fine-looking overcoat. And now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him. But we know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue. So, what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Oh, there's a split seam on the back. Oh, the seam on the shoulder is coming apart. Look. So it is. Do you know, a moment ago, when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said. I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded like a tiny growl. But now I think it was probably the sound of this seam ripping open. If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If he were to run around in it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart. That I'd like to see. Sorry? So, how can we make Mr. Benedict run around? She's really giving this some thought. The torn seam. The jacket doesn't actually fit you, sir. The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Yes. Because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so baldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. This catalog of untruths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windibank. But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. To abscond with a redeemed item. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you've been planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed to wheeze to filch some tawdry article of pawnage. Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner, using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details? Ne sais pas. I don't know pronunciation on French too well. That's rough. Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. And your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the council notice. The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talking about tunneling into the sewers. Which is a pity because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windibank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or, looking at it another way, if you did know the word, Mr. Windibank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Notelet? What's on this? Look at this, Miss Susato. Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Windibank has scribbled to himself. Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Windibank must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. And in alarmingly clear